Okay, so every single government system has a lifespan. And what does that mean? It means that there's a cycle of government inception where in the beginning the government is more closely connected and related to the people. It's like more of the people's government. So the decisions that are made by the government organization are more beneficial to the public that supply productivity to support the government. And then over time, the system basically degrades and starts to rot. And it comes to a point where the government loses all legitimacy and is essentially completely ripping off the public. Now it started where the government was there to keep the public safe, to support the public, to help the public, has become, in the end, a total wasteful system of just disgusting waste and corruption whacked out to the maximum. And why does this happen? And this is normal. So this has happened every time for thousands and thousands of years. This is just a normal system, cyclic system of government. So how does it happen? Well, how it happens is through money. So the government is going to basically control the money through taxes. So in the beginning of the system, people pay into the tax system, and then they get a benefit. But towards the end of the system, the government becomes so wasteful and so corrupt that the public has no benefit, and the public just only pays and gets no benefit in return. And then the public gets sucked dry. So the public has to pay everything. Like the amount of productivity that the public has to pay the government just increases and increases. Why? Because for any Ponzi scheme to continue to exist, it means that the input under the pyramid, the input of resource into the Ponzi has to increase. So how does that work? How does the Ponzi input increase? Well, it increases through government issuance of debt. So the government is going to start just to spend more and more and more. And so the issuance of debt from a government increases and increases and increases to keep the Ponzi scheme alive, so the government can continue to exist. As soon as the government stops issuing debt, it fails. So the government has to increase debt and expand the debt. Well, what is debt? Debt is typically, in the fiat system, is the money. So the government has to increase and explode the debt, increase and explode the money supply. And so that devalues the money supply. So when you get a devalued money supply, you get, by an inflated amount of money supply, you get an increase in prices, and everyone it hurts everybody because the productivity gets taxed through inflation, and it gets taxed through the government borrowing Ponzi scheme, and just the people end up broke, poor, hungry, starving, and there's either a violent revolution or just the government goes away because the people can't pay anymore. Everybody's dead, everybody's in jail. So it ends up in a system where there's nothing anymore. The government leech has killed the host, which is the public. So then the government just fails, defaults, or there's a revolution where the people get so furious they just say they're fed up with it. They're fed up with being poor and broke and hungry all the time. So there's a revolution, and they change the government, and then it starts from the beginning again. Sometimes, usually. So that's how it works. It's where it's done. It's been like this throughout history. You look at the Roman Empire, how that failed. That system started out with gold. Money was gold. Then money became silver. Then they started to devalue the money. Money became copper coins. Then it became iron. Then it became sand. You know, I mean, it lost all its purchasing power. Okay, and then eventually the government lost all of its legitimacy because it sucked the public dry, and nobody cared about Rome anymore. Nobody gave a shit about it. There was no allegiance at all, and so there was a massive decline, and wealth declined. There was a capital flight. Everybody tried to escape the system. People that still had money escaped, and the system imploded. And so that's what's happening right now. The governments around the world, especially in G7 countries, are losing all legitimacy. Our money is being devalued at an extreme pace. The government is just spending more and more and more. Trump is this omnibus spending bill is passed in March or whatever. Trillions and trillions of dollars just being spent, just wildly massive issuance of bonds, of debt. And so the systems are totally insolvent. We're approaching default. There's defaults that are happening all over the place. The fires are just increasing, and the government has no other option but to put gasoline on the fire. So things are just spiraling out of control. How long they can keep this thing together, their guess is as good as mine. So it's 2018, and there was a big massive default in 2007, 2008, and so to keep the system going, the government had to issue an extreme amount of debt to keep the system liquid, basically. And so it's all insolvent. It's all based on debt. It's a massive Ponzi scheme that is just running rampantly out of control. And people need to understand the system in which they're living in. It's not going to end well for us. Okay, the public is going to be destroyed. Taxes are going to increase. They're going to suck us dry. They're going to suck us dry until we're dead. The government is going to kill the host. We are the host. The government's going to kill us. So get ready for it and understand it, because that's what's happening.